Today we'll talk about how SIPs can actually ruin your financial future. You might be doing SIPs thinking that you know everything, but there are certain truths which you are never made aware of. People think that SIPs is the holy grail formula of making money in the markets. But the bad news is that SIPs are not the answer to everything, and you can lose money in the markets even after doing SIPs. So in this video, we'll discuss 3 truths about SIPs. The first truth will be about, do SIPs really keep you safe during the market crashes? The second truth will be about that who really earns from you continuing your SIP. Third, we'll look at what has happened to the people who have started the SIP in the last 2 years. And then we'll also look at a simple strategy that can help you do SIPs in a better way. So let's dive in. The first myth is that SIPs will keep you safe even during market crashes. We are told that even when the markets are bearish, our SIPs will protect our portfolio and we should continue investing and remain calm and composed. But there's a small problem with this. When the markets crash in reality, it is extremely difficult to stay calm and rational. No one talks about the emotions that you will feel when the markets are in a downtrend. Let's understand this with data. So what I've done is that I've got prices for Nifty for the past 30 years, starting from 1995 up until 2026. So let's go back 20 years. The year is 2006. You are 25, 27 years old. You have a kid and you decide that 15 years later, you will be needing roughly around 40 lakhs for your child's undergraduation. So you decide that you plan and save from today itself. You will do an SIP of 10,000 rupees for the next 15 years, and you make an assumption that in this 15 years, you will earn 10% per year, and 15 years later, you will comfortably have 40 lakhs. All these assumptions are quite rational, and these are the kind of assumptions we make even today. But let's see, if we had started a 10,000 rupee SIP in 2006, what would have happened in reality? So we'll invest 10,000 rupees each month. I'll change the year to May 2006. The SIP would be for 15 years. You can see that 15 years later, that is in April 2021, you'll end up with 42 lakhs. This is exactly what you had planned for. So everything looks okay, right? Maybe not. Let's look at the journey of this 15 years. We'll look at how your portfolio behaved over this 15 years and what would have been the emotions that you would have felt. So the orange line that you see over here is the amount that you have invested, and the blue line that you see over here is your portfolio value. This includes your amount that you have invested and the profits that you have had. You can see that the portfolio value as of March 2009 was even below the amount that you had invested. Basically, as of March 2009, you were sitting on a loss. You started your SIP in 2006. Even after 3 years of constant investing, you were having a portfolio which was sitting on a loss. This is the first hurdle in your journey where you would have panicked and probably stopped doing your SIPs. Let's look at this second point. You can see that as of December 11, your portfolio value is very close to your invested value, meaning that your portfolio neither has a loss nor has a profit. Imagine investing for 6 years and having absolutely zero returns. In this case, after 6 years, you would have had 8 lakh rupees and you would have still needed 32 lakh rupees more, and that too just in the next 9 years. This would have completely demotivated you, and this would have been the second hurdle in your journey where you would have probably stopped continuing your SIP. The last part of the story is the most terrifying part. So this fall that you see is the COVID-19 crash. Now people say that during this type of crashes, you should continue your SIPs and everything will be alright. But imagine from 2006 to 2020, you are 14 years into your SIP and you just have 2 or 3 years more before your kid turns 18 and you will be needing that money for his education. You reach a position where you have lost a significant amount of your portfolio. You are down from 33 lakhs to 24 lakhs and you suddenly need 16 lakh rupees more in the next 2 years to be able to afford your child's education. Now you tell me that would you have had the nerves to continue your SIP or would you have pulled out the remaining money from your portfolio? Most likely, you would have picked the second option. This is the third hurdle in your journey where you would have probably stopped continuing your SIPs and you would have never had this last run from March 2020 to April 2021, which actually gives you a lot of profit and would have comfortably given you more than 40 lakhs in the end. The truth is that people underestimate what you'll go through during your SIP. It's very easy to say that you should do an SIP for 20 years, but it's much more difficult to face the challenges and go through the emotions which you will feel over those 20 years. Now, before we move to the next point, did you realize that how conveniently I selected the time period? I could have chosen any time period, but I picked a time period from 2006 to 2021 because this helps me prove my point. This is a time period where initially your returns were negative and somewhere during the end of the journey, there was a deep drawdown in your portfolio. Now, Just the way I can choose the time period according to my convenience, many people out there trying to sell you SIPs can also choose data according to their convenience. They can glorify the parts where the markets have been in a bull run, and they can just underplay the parts where the markets have actually been in a downtrend. But why will people try to sell you SIPs? We can find the answer to this question in our next point. Let's see who really benefits from us continuing our SIPs. So, who are the stakeholders in the mutual fund industry? There are AMCs, there are distributors, and there are brokers. All these stakeholders earn money when you do SIP of any amount. Let's say you have 10 lakh rupees and you invest it in XYZ mid cap fund. Now, the average expense ratio for a mid cap fund in a regular plan is somewhere around 2%. So, when you invest 10 lakh rupees, you are actually paying 20,000 rupees each year. Now, this 20,000 rupees is divided amongst different stakeholders. Some amount of it goes to the AMC, some amount of it goes to the distributors who are selling you the mutual fund, and some amount of it goes to the brokers and other intermediaries. But the majority part goes to the AMC and the distributor. So for simplification, we'll just look at these two. On an average, out of that 20,000, 12,000 goes to the AMC, that is basically the fund house, and 8,000 rupees goes to the distributor who's trying to sell you these mutual funds. So both these players benefit when you buy mutual funds. Now let's say that the markets are a bit overpriced. It does not make sense for you to put all your money in the equity markets, and you decide that you should do 5 lakh rupees of equity mutual funds, and the remaining 5 lakh should go in a fixed deposit where you'll earn 6%. The problem is that no one earns any commission on that 5 lakh rupees lying in your fixed deposit. So the mutual fund and a distributor will still earn 2% on this 5 lakhs, but that would be just 10,000. So if you do 5 lakhs in mutual funds and 5 lakhs in fixed deposits, the earnings of these stakeholders will be down from 20,000 to 10,000. That's a 50% reduction in their earnings. Now, they're not doing anything wrong. They are just doing their business. This is their incentive, and that's how almost most businesses work in this country. Any businessman would like to earn more profits, but you need to realize that the system in itself is incentivized to push you towards equity mutual funds. And the onus is on you to be aware of your surroundings and realize why a person is telling you to do X instead of Y. So when anyone gives you advice, always know their incentives and dissect their advice as to what part of that advice is coming from truth and what part of that advice is coming just based out of incentives. Now we have seen a significant increase in the talks around SIPs over the last 2 years. Now let's link this to our next point and figure out that what would have happened to the people who would have started an SIP 2 years ago. So our Indian market's almost been sideways for the past 2 years. But the problem is that we've been sideways in a time when the entire world has been in a bull run. We haven't fallen, and we are proudly saying that Indian retail SIP money is supporting the markets. Recently in an interview, Shankar Sharma said this, that the retail money is not supporting the markets, but it's just providing beautiful exits to the rich guys. If the market has to fall, the retail money will not be able to stop that. So 2 years back is June 2024. So I'll just change this. Let's say you are putting in 25,000 each month, and you're doing it for 2 years. So you can see that over these last 2 years, you would have actually had negative returns. You would have lost somewhere around 7 to 8% of your money over the last 2 years. Now, there is a simple strategy that can help you do your SIPs in a much better way. We'll look at how you could have used this strategy over the last 2 years, and we'll also look at that how it would have performed over the last 2 years. What we can do is that we can reduce our exposure to equity markets. We can say that, okay, I'm going to continue my SIP, but 60% of that is going into the equity markets, and rest 40% of that will go into my fixed deposits or debt funds. Let's see what would have happened if you would have done that. Let's say we put 60% in equity and the rest 40% in some debt instrument earning 6%. You can see that the return would have still been quite negligible, but it's still better than having negative returns. Over a 2-year period, this still amounts to around 8-9% of outperformance. Now, this 8.4% of outperformance is not the only benefit that we have. Now, this is a chart which has both the 100% equity portfolio and also the portfolio which has 60% equity and 40% debt. The blue line is the portfolio which has 100% equity, and the green line is the portfolio which has 60% equity and 40% debt. Now you can see that the fall which happened during the war, the impact would have been very different for both these portfolios. The 100% equity portfolio would have had a higher fall as compared to the portfolio which has 40% debt. The debt portion would have cushioned the fall quite a lot. Now, this cushioning not only helps you lose less money, this cushioning of your portfolio helps you remain calm and rational during your investing journey. When you have some portion of debt or fixed income in your portfolio volatility reduces, and it allows you to bear these kind of shocks. And this way, you can manage to continue your SIP without stopping, without worrying, without panicking, and ultimately achieve whatever goal that you want. So these were the just 3-4 points which you need to be aware of before starting your SIP journey so that you know that what you are stepping into. Do comment and let me know that what are the other pain points that you have around finance, and I'll try to cover that in my coming videos. Until then, goodbye and thanks for listening.